You're listening to Pumapodcast.
Mr. Speaker, I move to elect the Honorable Aurelio Dong Gonzalez Jr., representative of the 3rd District of Pampanga, as Senior Deputy Speaker, vice the Honorable Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
You just heard Pampanga Representative and former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo being stripped of her title as Senior Deputy Speaker of the House about 3 weeks ago. She was demoted on May 17 over alleged attempts to unseat House Speaker Martin Romualdez. That was the beginning of the ongoing drama at the highest levels of Philippine politics. I'm Franco Luna, Pumapodcast, and you're listening to Teka Teka News. A few days after GMA was demoted, Vice President Sara Duterte announced her resignation from Lakas CMD, the largest and ruling party at the House, and where she was chairperson since November 2021. She didn't categorically say why she left, but she did ambiguously mention that her leadership as vice president, quote, cannot be poisoned by political toxicity or undermined by execrable power play, end quote. This all led to speculations of a rift in the administration and another ouster plot being hatched in the House. Arroyo initially only said that her demotion was a prerogative of the House, but in a longer statement, she denied rumors of a brewing coup at the lower chamber of Congress, saying she has no plans of seeking the speakership. Aside from being daughters of Philippine presidents, what is the connection between VP Sara and former President GMA?
Ang alam ko, tinuturing ni Sara si GMA na parang mentor niya in politics. And if you will recall, silang dalawa, they were instrumental in the removal of then Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez during the time of former President Duterte.
That's Veronica Uy, our senior editor here at Pumapodcast. She's been a reporter for about 26 years, the last 15 or so covering, among others, the Senate. For political analyst Arjan Aguirre, GMA's demotion was an initiative of Speaker Romualdez.
So parang ang nangyari dito, nag-muscle flexing si Martin Romualdez that I am the House Speaker, I am the President of Lakas, I am the cousin of Marcos. So to me parang nag-aagawan sila ng candy. I think it was done, prematurely because I think it's influenced by the fact that they're losing more things to the other side. GMA is becoming more powerful. Sara Duterte is becoming, popular na rin. She's already popular. Tapos they're getting more pa sa cabinet portfolios. Related talaga siya sa cabinet reshuffling na ina-expect natin. So again, it was done prematurely.
In a statement released in the wee hours of May 19, or over 24 hours after her demotion, GMA admitted that, open quote, when President Marcos won, I wanted to aspire for the speakership of the House. But it soon became apparent that he was most comfortable with then-Congressman Martin Romualdez as Speaker. In the Philippines, the House leadership has traditionally been closely associated with the sitting president, and this relationship of deep trust between Speaker and President has been beneficial in smoothly enacting the legislative agenda of the President. I think this is acceptable because in the Philippines, the check and balance needed in any democracy has traditionally been well provided by the Senate. Close quote.
Doon din sa statement na yon, lumabas din yung inamin din niya na ang dapat na role ng legislature, di ba, na check and balance. Pero para kay GMA, sa Senate lang yon, hindi both houses of Congress. When in fact, sa Constitution natin, both houses of Congress yung kasama dun sa check and balance. Para kay GMA, yung House, kailangan close talaga sa Presidente.
Isn't there something seriously wrong in the political reality that GMA spelled out? Bakit? Bukod pa sa pagpasa ng legislative agenda ng Presidente, ano pa ang kapangyarihan ng House of Representatives? Or more specifically, ng House Speaker? Bakit pinag-aagawan ang posisyong ito? Balikan natin ang saligang batas.
Powerful ang Speaker dahil pang-apat siyang pinakamataas na opisyal ng Republika. Sa presidential succession, pangatlo ang Speaker. According to the Constitution, the line of succession is Vice President, then Senate President, then Speaker of the House of Representatives. Also, as head of one of the two houses of Congress, the Speaker has a lot of pull. Makapangyarihan talaga siya when it comes to questions of policy. Kung saan mo gusto dalhin ng bansa, Speaker at Senate President yan.
Halimbawa na nga ng Maharlika Investment Fund. It's now up for President Marcos' signature just days after he certified it as urgent.
Marami pang powers ang Congress ha. It can remove from office impeachable government officials including the President, the Vice President, members of the Supreme Court, members of constitutional commissions like COMELEC, and the Ombudsman. Noong year 2000, Speaker Manny Villar impeached then President Erap Estrada, who was very popular. Noong panahon ni GMA, ilang beses din inattempt na impeach si Arroyo pagkatapos ng Hello Garci controversy noong 2005. Kaya alam ni GMA kung gaano ka-importante yung speakership. So kung di magkabati ang presidente at speaker, pwedeng ma-impeach ang presidente.
Check and balance talaga ang Congress, both houses, sa kapangyarihan ng executive, lalo na ng presidente. Specifically, Congress can revoke the president's proclamation of martial law. It may authorize the president to exercise powers during national emergencies. It can start charter change. It can approve or reject key appointments made by the president to government agencies. Plus, it can conduct congressional committee hearings in aid of legislation on various issues. Unfortunately, pwedeng gamitin sa politika itong mga congressional hearings tulad ng ginawa nila kay Senator Laila de Lima.
Para sa akin, ang pinaka-importanting role ng Congress ay ang pagpasa ng national budget taon-taon. It oversees budget appropriations. It can decide whether or not to add or reduce a government agency's budget. Kung maayos talaga ang sistema, Congress is the people's guard against suspected corruption. The Office of the Ombudsman said, corruption in the Philippines cost 700 billion pesos a year. Ibig sabihin, ang tongpats about 20% of the annual budget. So, ang nagtatakda kung saan mapupunta ang kaban ng bayan, supposedly, Congress. Lahat ng batas na may kinalaman sa pera ng bayan, saan ito i-allocate, paano ito kikitain ng gobyerno, aling import ang papatawan ng taripa, lahat mag-uumpisa sa lower house.
Article 6, Section 24 of the Constitution says all appropriation, revenue, or tariff bills, bills authorizing increase of the public debt, bills of local application, and private bills shall originate exclusively in the House of Representatives, but the Senate may propose or concur with amendments. Kaya naman nauugnay ang Congress sa tinatawag na pork barrel, yung pondo na napupunta sa mga pet projects ng mga mambabatas.
May mga studies na yung politics of pork barrel. Yan yung power ng executive branch dun sa House. Kasi sino magkocontrol ng pork barrel, siya yung magkocontrol ng House. So in this setup, we know that we have this presidential, setup in the Philippines wherein you tend to produce, a president that comes from direct voting.
We're pausing for a quick break now. When we return, let's talk about the unit team and the vice president.
A coalition that was created not based on principle but out of convenience. The end goal is just to win the 2022 elections. And it was created by GMA. GMA is the architect of this alliance. Remember, she facilitated the negotiations between the Marcos camp and Sara Duterte's camp. And she was successful in making this, possible and, tapos a successful grand coalition in the end. And to prove my point, the next day after GMA's demotion, si Sara Duterte nag-resign as the chair.
That's political scientist Arjan Aguirre again. Sara Duterte eventually left Lakas CMD after its president stuck it to her longtime mentor, GMA. Even President Marcos had to comment in his birthday greeting to her.
Inday Sara, Happy birthday. Magpahalipay usa diha. Pahuway sa kadali sa imong trabaho, tagaay usa ug gamay nga oras ang imong kaugalingon. Ug palihog ayaw nagtagda ang mga tambaluslos diha. Happy birthday.
Translation, wag mo nang pansinin ang mga tambaluslos dyan. Ignore the haters, kumbaga. How will this all play out?
So I really expected that time that with this alliance, meron talagang upper hand si Sara Duterte Carpio. So when this, coalition eventually became, a government na, during the government formation part, I was proven, right to see some of the people in the cabinet are well known. Gloria Arroyo's men or women, tapos well known din na loyal supporters ng Duterte family or dynasty.
In short, GMA's demotion for the alleged coup try only pounds down the fact that the supposed unity is being pulled apart by competing interests. Arjan Aguirre says there are 3 scenarios for the government in the aftermath of Arroyo's demotion.
They will just bid their time, they will just wait it out, let Martin Romualdez commit mistakes. Yung isa pang scenario na pwede kong ma-highlight, kung may worst case, ito naman yung parang best case scenario. Makakapabor to talaga kila GMA, okay? This involves this time, yung pagpapatuloy lang ng power struggle. Meaning, yung mismong interaction with the House Speaker, the endless, accusations against each other will just continue, and they will just play ambivalent, they will just appear ambivalent. It's a power waltz.
And the worst case scenario might irreversibly change the way the unity administration functions going forward.
Ang pitfall ni Sara ngayon, ang shortcoming niya is any move na mapaperceive nila that would come from Sara, gagamitin nila yon to tell the people na, hoy, nagmamadali siya magpresidente, tatanggalin si Marcos. Ang kinakatakot ko, Franco, is if they would go all out na this coming July. And it's not going to be GMA. It's a different person. Yun yung kinakatakot ko. So, magpa-power grab na talaga sila sa House. But again, yun yung worst case scenario.
But at the end of the day, it all goes back to the way the House as an institution has been taken advantage of. And that's not something that started with the Marcos administration. Here's Veronica again with the final word.
Actually, pwede naman mas stable yung political system natin. Hindi personality-based. Tapos talagang pwede namang maging real check and balance yung Congress against. Naalala ko in 2012, merong proposed law that ensures that the minority has a voice. That time, the Senate passed a bill seeking to strengthen the political party system by providing financial subsidies to political parties, both for campaign purposes and for party development. Kung naging batas yun, it would ensure the survival of minority voices. It would also minimize, if not stop, yung balimbingan. Kasi talon lang ng talon, depende dun sa winning party ng presidente. Kaya wala talagang check and balance. Di ba? Kasi yun naman ang ibig sabihin ng democracy, yung minority pinapakinggan. Sabi nga ni Howard Zinn, isang American historian and thinker, historically, the most terrible things, war, genocide, slavery, have resulted not from disobedience, but from obedience. Importante yung dissent kasi it prevents the tyranny of the majority.
And that was today's episode of Teka Teka News. Again, I'm Franco Luna. This episode was edited by Pidoy Blanco. If you like this episode, share it with a friend or two. And of course, don't forget to follow Teka Teka News and Pumapodcast on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. Thanks for listening.